welcome to LMA Trading. Hey, Rick Hoffman here, and in this video, we're going to be going over some futures, and the futures came out tonight, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about this past week, so some of our trades, the ones we took a loss on. So we'll talk a little bit about those, and also as we look at the futures, we're going to take a look at a few stocks we're looking at and give you kind of our take on that. But before we do, let's jump into some housekeeping rules. It's important to understand that stocks involve risk. Options are risky, and not stocks and options are not suited for everyone. Do your own due diligence. It's your money. You trade your money, and you pick your entries and you pick your exits. So you pick your winning trades, you pick your losing trades. Don't be a sheep and just follow people blindly. Understand what you're doing. That's why I do what I do. This is for my own trade journal. It's part of my personal review. It's part of my own personal education. Hopefully you can learn something from this too. But again, these are the things I'm looking at doing. I'm putting my money at risk and not yours. And so you do the same thing. This just allows me to be more focused, and really by talking through the process allows me to make sure I don't miss something. And if I do, and I share that with you all here, consider it some entertainment. So do your own due diligence and make your own trades with your own money, and just don't do anything stupid or foolish, and trade safe and be happy. And I think everything will work out. So with that being said, let's jump into the video. Let's talk a little bit of futures, and let's talk this week. See you guys in the video. Hey, welcome everyone to LMA Trading. I'm your host, Rick Hoffman. Hey, just I want to just say I'm here to talk about the futures, Sunday night futures. It's about 7:48. The futures came out a little over an hour and a half ago. I had recorded a video earlier on this and botched it up. What do you know? Anyways, after about 40 minutes of recording, then spending a little bit of time editing. So uh, we I don't know. Hopefully, our sound quality is much better. We had an air conditioner running in the background. We shut it off, so I hope that's good. That will help out with that background noise and make this a little better. But we're going to talk about the futures, what we see the markets doing here this evening, and what on our outlook for the upcoming week, what we think the week will have in store for us, and everything. So we're going to let me jump into. Let's start with the Dow. Okay, the Dow, being the Dow is the biggie. It's down 88 points as of right now. When we first took a look at this, it was down just, I think 10, 11 points or so, roughly a little bit like 20 after 6 or something. So it's pulling back. We are in a daily squeeze on this. It's been trading in this range right at this 3,500 range, roughly thereabouts, and 3580 something, 35 100, and it's been bouncing, holding the 21 since the last bigger pullback over on the on the 19th and the 20th, when we had that pullback and dropped better than a 2 ATR move on that. But we are getting the pullback here. We didn't see that on Friday after the jobs report, but we did break a new high, so we have to respect that. It was on light volume, but it broke it nonetheless. So we'll give it its dues, being it set a new high at 35,137. But we are getting a pullback, and will we get the pullback that we would like to see? And to keep this moved higher going. So, and for the past, let's take a look here. For the past, looks like the past month or so, or maybe longer, but we've been in about every week to 2 weeks, we've been in this buy the dip mentality. we've just been seeing a little bit more of it because the markets are overextended. We do have stacked EMAs. We are within 1% of all-time highs. The daily VWAP is, everything is in line. The ADX is neutral because we have been trading in this range for some time now. So that's what the Dow. So we'll see what tomorrow morning has in store for us. Let's take a look at the Russell. The Russell, we're getting a pullback to the 21. It's down 14 points, and I say yay to this one. We have a call credit spread on this, so we are playing this to the downside. So we still are in a daily squeeze. We had some upward momentum, but again, the Russell is kind of leading the way as far as weakness. I've got some trend lines drawn in here. We've been, since we set this high back in March, we've been trending down and setting lower highs, and kind of holding this 2093 area here as support. But we are coming starting around the June 25th, when we had the high right here on June 25th. And then we've started to drop a little more drastic to the downside. And so we are going to be tightening up here. So, we are holding up here at the 2260 roughly. And that's the sold strike that I sold on this, expires on Friday, the 13th of all days. So keep our fingers crossed on that, but we're only shooting for 50% profit on that. So hopefully we can hit that here. I'd like to hit that possibly in the next couple of days or by Wednesday, and we can jump out of that trade. So, but the Russell is continuing showing its weakness to the downside. Let's take a quick look at, with the bonds, and that's what we're going to probably see here. But let's take a look at TLT, because TLT is one that we were looking at and we played before, when we were looking at it to not break this zone right here. So we have this on this chart here. Let me tighten this up here. Let me move our charts down, kind of enlarge this a little bit. So we're in this zone right here, this circle zone that I have shaded area. We've got a pretty decent drop down. It basically well past the 21 here on the daily. So if this holds here, we're going to see probably a pretty decent little movement to the downside. So we got a couple points downward on the bond. So we'll see what happens. This could be a driving force for the markets this week, as inflation fears and things like that. So I would say keep an eye on bonds in the bond market, and how that's going to affect, and especially how that will affect the Qs and the NASDAQ. So we saw on Friday, after the report came out on Friday, the jobs report, bonds took a spike up. And of course, the tech stocks do not like, high bond prices. They borrow a lot of money. So from that standpoint, they don't want to see, bonds interest rates going up. And that's exactly what, the fear of that they might be seeing that. And so the NASDAQ's going to probably pull back. So when we take a look at this, and I'll jump into this with a few stocks that I'm thinking about for this week, which are tech stocks. So, because I do look at the FANG stocks. And so that's something to keep in mind of what we've got going on there. On the Qs. So right now the Nasdaq's down 71 points here on Sunday evening. Let's jump into the S&P. And S&P is kind of looking the same as the Dow. But again, the S&P is heavily weighted, with the FANG stocks, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Google, and Netflix, just to name a few. Those are the five biggies. But they're heavily weighted in the S&P and the Qs. So, so we're probably going to see these also pull back. But this is what I want to see, because looking at a couple entries on some credit spreads, so I'd like to see a pretty decent pullback. We get a higher, we get a spike in the VIX, and get a spike in some volatility, and we can get some pretty decent premium possibly. So I'm going to be looking at that for a play into either Friday. I'm going to probably pass on Friday the 13th. I don't know. What's your guys' opinion? Friday Friday the 13th is a good luck or bad luck? I'll tell you what, after this past week, I don't know if I need all the luck I can get. But anyways, that's kind of what we're looking at here on the future. So futures pointing to the downside right now, but again, you wake up tomorrow morning, these could all be green, and they all could be setting new highs in the morning. This market is just, it's something you just don't know what it's going to do. You have no clue. It could go up, it could go down, could just trade sideways. So we need a little bit of luck from time to time. So anyhow, okay, so that's kind of what we're doing here. Just to kind of let you know, on the week, we have two trading accounts. I have my option account is over on Tastyworks, and our options for this week was a down week. We had a few trades. We had actually a couple trades on the S&P. We were wanting to hold we had sold the 4450s strike on the S&P. We never got to it, but it shook me out here early in the week when we popped this 4422 here and here, and I just felt like, or no, when we shook me out because we sold it was a 4350s. The 4350s is what we had sold, and so shook me out right in here. And of course, we got the pop back into the high, and just, I should have held it. It would have been, we would have had two trades on Friday and Wednesday last week. We would have had both of these. We would have had these for max profits and on the credit spread. So, oh well, they turned out to be losses, but they were small losses. We closed out some other positions too. We closed out one on Piton. Piton was looking, we had sold the 115. It had hit the 115 or 115 strike and blew through this zone right here and went on down. So that violated our rules. Still, the chart is, I don't know. It's a mess, really. It's a heavily shorted stock. So, I was hoping that we were getting this little squeeze and tightening right here, and we would get. Let me get my drawing tool here, and I was hoping that this right here and this uptrend here, and then it broke the trend here. We were going to get a squeeze. It was wedging in here, and we would pop out of that, and the short squeeze would be on. Well, it got into this tight range. It had to make a choice, up or down, and it chose to go down. We'll see. We'll still keep this on watch, and then UPS. UPS was an earner this week, and I had this one also, and we sold this. We were looking, I bought it back in this zone here. We were looking, the only mistake is my timing on this was probably off. Should have looked here, because I had the one, these different price levels here I was looking at here. And so could have sold, instead of selling the 190s, I could have sold the 185 possibly, and would still be in this with plenty of time to go on the trade. But again, it broke right here. It broke our trade plan, and but then the next day we got a bounce. So isn't that what usually happens? But again, extremely small loss on this. So So, we was able to hold on to some of the premium, but for the most part, wasn't as good as what we could have hoped for. So overall, our options account was down about 1.5%. I don't take that back. Was down about 2.5%, or just like 2.67% for the week. And then we have a stock trading account on our TD Ameritrade, or our here that I used Thinkorswim, which is primarily my charting software, but that our stocks were up. I mean, just to kind of give you an idea, we are holding some 3M. We also have Pinterest. I talked to you a little bit about RUT. We've got some Chewy stock. We also have Tesla stock, just to name a few. And we have another one here. Let's see. Where to go? We have some Tractor Supply, and we have some Monster. And again, Monster, I think, had a decent, had good earnings. And so that actually, let's see if this will come up here. Of course, it's going to run slow. Here it comes. We'll get a drink while we're waiting. Bingo. So we picked this up here on Friday. We bought some calls on it, and so hopefully we'll see some continuation. But it's a small lot trade. So we're not, the risk is very low, and so we're looking at this to hopefully it closed right at the high here. And so hopefully we'll get some continuation if we get a little bit of a pullback, but we bought September calls on this. So we've got plenty of time, but like I said, it had pretty good earnings. Estimated earnings were 66.8. They'll come in with 75 cents actual per share. So we'll see, Monster drink is maybe a good one. So we'll kind of hold that out. All right. And so our trade account was up. We were up about just about 2.3% on our trades this week. And so options were down 1.5% roughly, I think is what I said. And then our trade account was up. So like to have seen both of them up, but they would have been up if we would have gotten shaken out on a few of those trades for losses, or we'd still even be into some. So, but I always say, keep your losses small and make sure your winners are bigger than your losses, and don't let a loss get bigger. So you have to have trading rules, and I follow my rules. So that's what we do. And okay. Let's see what we got here for what we're looking at for the week. Now, so let's start with Apple. Apple's one that we've got that we're looking at here. I would say it's in a tight range. So we're trading this range about 150 to roughly 140-ish, give or take a little bit. We would like to see this pull back a little bit more into this zone here, and then we would probably be wanting to pick up a strike down here below the 140, maybe 139. We would be looking at probably a debit spread on this. I don't think. And then when we look at let me pull this back here, and let's put the weekly chart in here with us. So, the weekly chart, there is plenty of room to pull back to the 21. I think eventually we may be heading that way. So again, this might be one to sit on our hands tomorrow and see how it reacts to this price point right here. And because we are in a daily squeeze and we've got some decreasing momentum, so possibly to the downside. So we'll see what this has in store for us here. So, and again, never can really figure out the bottom, but if you jump in here, or if I was to jump in here, I'd have to be willing to withstand a downturn, probably down into the mid 130s, 130. maybe 140 to 135, and we could very easily wind up going there by the end of the week. The next one we have is Amazon. So Amazon took a dump on us and just puked it up after earnings. This is why they call these the fangovers, this fang stocks, kind of like a fang, and then over the top it just goes down. We pulled back. I'd like to see it come up here, test the 21, possibly break the 21 EMA. That's the green dotted line right here, and get up into this zone. So anywhere is above the -1 ATR and the +1 ATR. But if I can get it right here, and we can start to see kind of a curl and have this start turning upwards, and then we get confirmation of that with increasing momentum on our squeeze indicator with yellow bars, and we see the MACD and the histogram start to, start to verge together and show increase in momentum along with the weekly chart. Hopefully that'll support that on the weekly chart. So that's what we're looking at there. And then we have Facebook. Facebook is another one of those that, we had a pullback to the 21, just below the 21. It held this price range right here at 350. We got a bounce off of that. So we'd like to see this possibly pull back here. It's at the higher range of the 1 ATR. We, could possibly come back and test the 377 possibly, which would give us, almost a 1.5 ATR move, which is, it is pretty decent. We would probably be risking, if we get back in here, we could get a 1 to 2 ATR move easy. So that's why I would like to see that here, and I can risk the drop down here to possibly profit up here. So that's what I'd be looking on Facebook. Let's see, we got Google, and Google is still very strong, a very bullish uptrend on the weekly chart. We're consolidating here after earnings, so would like to still see this pull back. We are at the 3 ATR on last week, as far as Google is still way overextended, but the markets don't care. You see this price action on the daily chart, the pullback to 21. Anytime I believe the Google pulls back to the 21, it's a buy. That's kind of what I'm seeing. So it's a buy. So we put on some credit spreads or a debit spread, and to play this to the upside. It's very bullish. I'm very bullish on it. So we'll look at that. And then we have Netflix, I believe it is. Let's see where. Yeah, here we are. So Netflix is one that not real sure what to think of it. It's showing the downtrend on the weekly chart right here. We've got price action holding at the 482 down here on the weekly, and so we may see this here. We've got increasing momentum on the histogram. We are at the 21. I just don't know if this is going to get it going. It was a play all last year. It's been in a weekly squeeze for quite some time, so we could get a play back up here. But I don't know if that's would give me the range that I would want. But it might make sense to put a credit spread, and maybe if look at if we can get a little bit of a pullback here, we can probably get some decent premium possibly. So we'll see about that. And then let's talk about some of the ones I'm thinking about here. One that some other people have been talking about, which I haven't really looked at too much, is BTBT. And let's see what they're seeing. So, it's a cheaper stock, but we got a pullback here, way back here to the $4.66. Came out with earnings. Actually has earnings this week, or is that tomorrow, the 12th? Anyways, so that has earnings. So possibly, we might see a pop to the upside. So this might be one if you day trade, or if you wanted to pick this up and maybe not risk a whole lot. So this would probably be a stock play for me. Consider it a lotto trade, really. Not put a lot of risk on and go there. So I see what they're talking about. They're they got these here big couple spike ups. Let's see, did they have news? Yeah, probably just because Bitcoin's been popping, and with the bonds being down, and also inflation and things like that. So people will probably be looking at Bitcoin. So watch Bitcoin and watch this here if you're wanting to play something that might run with Bitcoin. We'll be taking a look at it. Let's take a look at next on the list. Let's take a look at Robinhood. Just so you know, Robinhood's a new IPO just came out first of the week. Didn't react real well to the IPO, the first initial offering we got, and then on Tuesday got a little pop up. Wednesday, huge spike up, a run up to 85, and then pull back, to $70, and then we opened up here below. So we gapped down, opened up, and closed at, roughly $50, $50.60 or right in there. And, we got them popped up, ran up a little bit, so we've got an inside bar here. So this might be interesting to see. Robinhood's not going anywhere. So there's no indicators or there's no data really to say. It's got earnings. I don't know if this would be wise to, pick this up. I'm not too sure. If I do, this might be something I will probably add to my stock portfolio, be looking at, because I think Robinhood, like I said, it's not going anywhere. So very well could be a play to the upside, and a play to look at. Options are, I've been off the charts on this here. So, a lot of option activity and on the calls. And these are, most of these are probably short term and open interest, as you can see down here on the $70 strike, 12,448. And then the volume on Friday was 9,827. So some crazy option activity. So that's something to probably watch on this here going into this week. So might want to, um, could be a good play. And I believe the price target on it should, it should be let's see if we put our fib tool in here, a fib extension. If you looked at this here and just played, I'm sorry, wrong way. Always do that. Remove the dollar. So let's go from here to here. And, that's not what I wanted either. There we go. Probably be looking, this thing potentially could have, if you want to look at on your fib extensions, we could be looking, you should have a price target 140 to 150 on this here. So very well, this, if you look at the range here, if we can do this, and then if we wanted to get, if we look at this from a pullback situation, we also, we got a pullback right into the 61.8. So we're holding right here. So this could be a very good entry point. But I still feel that it's a little overextended after this big move. So it's a pure lotto trade, I think, if you're going to probably put something on it. Then I've got, let's see, what else am I looking at? Let's talk about space. Space is one that I bought it back here when we hit this high. I bought it right after they went to space and came back to Earth, and really thought, hey, this could be the next Netflix, or not Netflix, the next Tesla of space. So, but evidently that didn't work out for me. They dumped 500,000 shares on the market or something, pushed the price down. We held the $28. So we held this now for quite some time. We're past earnings, even though earnings wasn't great, but I wouldn't expect earnings to be great. They're not making any money yet. So So we're in the buy zone. So this could, we could be looking at a nice move here to the upside. If anything, we could be looking, if we just get back to the previous high, you know, right back here. I mean, that'd be a $23 move. I mean, um, slap on 100 shares and, um, set your stop below the 28 and let her ride. So might might make sense. I don't know. I'm going to be looking at that. Probably would not be looking at an options trade, but probably be looking at adding that to some stocks. So, hey guys, that's what I've got for you. So, kind of my outlook on the week, the futures, and how we fared over last week. Some of our trades we closed. So, check back every day. We post our pre-morning or pre-market prep. So we'll come back tomorrow morning, Monday morning. That video will be out before noon, and then we'll get that. It should be out before market open, actually, and so we'll get that out, and we'll see how things change from tonight to tomorrow morning. So with that, you guys are awesome. Keep trading, and happy trading to you. Okay. Also, remember, you trade your money, so you trade your plays. You pick the entry points and exit points. Um, that's the best way to trade. So, and this is just purely my education. This is for my review. It's part of my trade journal. I just happen to share my thoughts and my thinking from my own personal education. So, because by talking through this, I see things much more clearly than just looking at it. So that's my take on it. You guys have a great evening.